Hey guys, what's up? And cheers back to another video. In today's video, we're talking about what is Two-Headed Giant, a bit of a beginner's guide for you guys out there who are just starting to play or are interested. Maybe you're an experienced player and you've never played Two-Headed Giant. I'm going to explain to you what that is today. So, Two-Headed Giant, typically you play with 4 players. Actually, you almost always play with 4 players. I guess you could do 8 players, but 4 players would be the usual by far. And then you have 2 teams of 2 players each. Now there's 2 ways to do this. You can do it in PreRelease format or you can do it in just Commander format. I'm going to talk about Commander format today. Actually, I guess we can talk about both. So Commander format would be, you guys both build a Commander deck. If you don't know what Commander decks are, it's 100 cards, singleton, so 1 copy of each card except for basic lands. And then the identity colors and stuff like that. If you don't know what Commander is, I have a video on that, so you can check that out and then come back to this one. The only difference is, instead of having 2 totals of 40 life total, you actually only have 30 combined. So, or actually I guess there's other ways to play it, but typically it's 30 life total each. So each team of 2 will have 30 life total and it will be combined life total. If you're playing Commander, you could probably do 40. Pre-release and drafting and that kind of thing is usually 30. But Commander is usually, I'd say 40 for each team. And then you each build, like I said, 2 decks. So you bring your own decks to the table. And then your opponents will also have 2 decks. So you have 2 on 2. So 2 on 2. And then you just play a normal game of Magic. So how it works during turns is that you and your partner will each take turns at the same time. So as you'll both draw at the same time, you'll both attack at the same time, you'll both do your main phases at the same time, you'll both end your turn at the same time. You have combined life totals, so whichever you can block your opponent's attacking creatures can do it. Doesn't matter who's blocking or who's attacking or anything. And then if you do get hit for damage, since it is combined life totals, it hurts both of you effectively. So let's say you got hit for 4, your combined life total would go from 40 to 36. So yeah, and you share a life total, like I said. So Two-Headed Giant, that's basically how the Commander player would do it. You do draw on your first turn since it's still a Commander format. All the ban lists is the typical Commander ban list. Make sure you just check before you're building decks. You can also build 60 card singleton decks, which is the same thing, just with 60 cards. And then pre-release format, we'll talk about that now. So pre-release format would be you go to a pre-release and then you have you and your partner would sign up together and then whatever. And then you get your 2 pre-release packs, you open them up, and then you build your normal pre-release 40 card decks. You can use whatever cards you get. You just can't have more than 4 copies of 1 card, and your deck has to be at least 40 cards. Unless it's a basic land, you can have more than 4 basic lands, obviously. But how that works is you and your partner can actually exchange cards throughout the deck building process. So let's say your partner got something, let's say you're playing red-green and your partner got a pretty sweet red card, like a mythic or something. He can give you that, or she, and then you can give it back to them at the end if they want it back. And then, but yeah, so you just share cards to collectively build 2 decks out of your 2 pre-release boxes. And then from there, you would get partnered up just like a normal pre-release against your other opponents. So it'd probably be, usually it's just best of 1, so the person to win the first round, or first game, would win the match, and then you'd go on and then fight another opponent. Usually it's 3 rounds, sometimes 4, but you do that 3 or 4 times, and then you get partnered up with people who have the same like win record as you and stuff like that. Other than that, same thing as Commander Two-Headed Giant, drawings are the same. You do not draw when you go first when it comes to pre-release. You start with 30 life total for pre-release. Two-Headed Giant, everything else is the same, combined life totals. You attack and block at the same time. You can choose who attacks or blocks. You can counter spells or whatever at the same time you normally would. You just have to really make sure that you and your opponent talk it out before you go to the next step, because if your opponent does something and you say you gotta pass, like you say pass, but they still had something to do. Now they can't do it. So you really just have to make sure you're communicating. Throughout Two-Headed Giant, you can look at your opponent's hands. So, you can't look at your opponent's hands. Don't do that, that's cheating. You can look at your partner's hands, and you can kind of like show them, like, should I keep this hand or whatever when you're mulliganing. Or if you have like 2 plays, you can get their opinion, like, hey, I have a lightning bolt and a shock, which one should I use now? You know, that kind of thing. So that is pretty much it for Two-Headed Giant. It's pretty simple once you kind of understand it. After you play a couple games, you'll kind of understand it like really well. I remember the first time I played it, I was really confused, and then I was like, oh, okay, this isn't that bad. So that is going to be it. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you guys did, please leave a like and subscribe if you're new to the channel. If you want to support the channel, check out the Patreon links below or merch. You can also check out Inks Gaming. They sell playmats and other stuff, all your gaming needs. And they will give you 10% off if you use code MTGNerds10. That is MTGNerds10 at checkout, all capitals. 10 is in the number 10, 10. And then you check out, you get 10% off, and you're helping out the channel as well. So thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you guys all in the next one. Peace out, guys.